Hi, my name is Vladimir. I'm a project manager for this project. We're building a Fire-based physician dashboard for managing opioid prescriptions. We are a team of 6, including Donald Ward, backend developer, John Fisher, William Story, Jeremy Pepino as front-end developers, and Yang Liu as data engineer. To begin, I'd like to recap all the research that we have completed. In the interviews, physicians mentioned reviewing patient prescription history, looking for any unusual or frequent dosage changes. They analyzed patients' medical visit history, looking for any substance abuse or overdose outcomes. They also assessed patients' habits. All of this to help them determine patients' predisposition to forming an addiction habit. In cases when physician decides to prescribe opioids to a patient, it's important that the physician remembers and stays within CDC guidelines for daily opioid consumption. Last but not least, this app must work within physicians' EMR because busy physicians don't have time logging into multiple dashboards to look up information. Once we completed the research phase of our project, we have gone through a series of design iterations to brainstorm ideas. There are 5 high-level functionalities that we kept in mind during the design phase. We decided that we will show patients daily opioid dosages in morphine equivalents because that's how risk bands are described in CDC guidelines. We'll definitely need to include patients' prescription history, as it's something all interviewees have mentioned. It will have to be a Smart on Fire app because it will need to work from within physician's EMR. One of the main goals for this project is to demonstrate interoperability, and thus our prototype must connect to more than one Firebase server. To narrow down the scope of this project, we've agreed with mentors to only focus on the risk assessment portion of the decision-making process. As a result, we've come up with this prototype. This design focuses on showing patients' history of daily opioid dosages. It incorporates CDC guidelines when it comes to risk assessment, including the autoconversion of prescriptions with their dosages into morphine equivalents. The prototype also brings forth some of the most important signals that physicians are looking for during their decision-making process. Does the patient smoke? Or does the patient drink alcohol? How many drinks per week? Has there been any cases of overdose with this patient? And of course, we've included patient's medical visit history, so the physician can easily trace if the patient has been helped in hospitals to get more opioid drugs.
Hello, my name is William Story. I will be going over the technical architecture and tools portion of this presentation. To begin, let's go over the high-level architecture. Our architecture will be broken up into 2 main pieces. The first piece will use React.js to create a stable and responsive front-end web application. The second piece will be using a Spring framework along with the Java persistence architecture. We will also leverage the usage of the Happy Fire library along with OAuth2 to create a Smart on Fire web application. Communication between these 2 layers would be done via a set of RESTful API endpoints. We will also be using the classic Spring Web application architecture as well. This is comprised of the web layer, the service layer, and the repository layer. The web layer will be managing the controllers, exception handlers, and the view templates. The service layer will be managing the application services and infrastructure services. The repository layer will manage the repository interfaces and their implementations. On the front end, the tools we will be using are listed below. The important tools to take away from this are React.js, Redux, Node.js, and NPM. On the backend side, Java would be our development language of choice. Along with this, we'll be using tools such as the Spring Framework, Spring Boot, Tomcat, and JPA. 2 important takeaways from our user interviews was being a Smart on Fire web application and also being able to cross-reference patient data between multiple EHRs. To accomplish this, we will have to connect to multiple OAuth servers to connect to the respective EHR server as well. One concern we have is adding OAuth security will increase development time. One solution to this is to find an example Smart on Fire framework and see how they implement OAuth. The next concern we have is handling multiple OAuths and how that affects whether or not a doctor knows they have the right patient data. One way to do this is to be able to make sure the doctor has as much detail as they can to confirm they have the right patient. Next would be our progress update and next steps. As far as progress goes, we are right on track. The only thing we have had holdups on is reading through the literature, since we have gotten more literature than we expected, and completing user interviews, since there were more interviews than we expected. Our next steps include reviewing mockups with external mentors, researching Harvard Smart on Fire sandbox server, research how to create a Smart on Fire app, create a final list of user stories and personas, and create a user requirements document. This has been William's story, and thank you for listening.